Hi, everybody. You're listening to Tuned Into NoCo. I'm Ashley Milas, and today I'm speaking with the Executive Director of Alternatives to Violence, Carrie Clark. Carrie, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
So first off, Carrie, for those who don't know, would you mind telling our listeners what Alternatives to Violence is all about?
Absolutely, Ashley. First of all, hello, and thank you so much for having me. I love getting to do this program. Alternatives to Violence is an agency located in Loveland, and we've actually been in existence since 1982. So this is our 40th anniversary year. We assist people who have experienced domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking with resources, education, and emergency shelter. So for years and years, we went on a therapy model. We helped people who had been in domestic abuse or those situations who really needed therapy. And we've moved into advocacy now. We help folks with their immediate needs, and sometimes that's shelter. So in 2016, we opened a shelter here in Loveland. It's 8 bedrooms and 22 beds. And I am happy to say that actually by the end of this year, we'll be able to expand our safe house by 4 more bedrooms and 10 more beds. So we'll have a total of 12 bedrooms and 32 beds available to people who need emergency sheltering.
Wow, that's so great. Now, does this expansion to ATV Safe House have anything to do with the rise in cases since the pandemic?
That's absolutely a good question. And yes, we have seen an increase since the pandemic started. At the beginning of the pandemic, things really slowed down. We think that when everybody was home and stay at home orders, they did not get out. They didn't have an opportunity to call for the help that they needed. So in the very beginning, it was really slow. And then we hit a boom. People just started coming out of the woodwork. Unfortunately, I think being stuck home with their abusers really escalated things in a lot of homes. And when things started opening up, people needed that help. So we got more and more phone calls. We have a 24-hour crisis line, and our monthly calls of people calling in doubled for looking for help. And unfortunately, we didn't have more room for folks. So we don't like to leave people just not with any assistance. So we offer other resources. We tried hotel stays. We refer them to other shelters in the area, but the need is always there. So our capacity in the safe house ran a little low the past 2 years, but not because of need, but because of safety. So unfortunately, there were a few times we did have some breakout COVID cases in the house. So we weren't able to house more people. And we had to keep it low really in times of high COVID cases going on. Typically, even the year before and running into now, we run at about 102% capacity. So the only time we don't have people staying in the safe house is really in between. They leave, and by the next day, we fill it back up again. So there is always a need for safe shelter, unfortunately, but we're happy to be there to help provide services.
Absolutely. And speaking of helping out the community even further, let's talk about the annual Purple Ribbon Breakfast coming up. What do people need to know?
It is an annual breakfast that we hold twofold. It's a fundraiser to help us keep helping victims in the community, and it's also an information telling event. The breakfast will be held on April 26th at the Embassy Suites Hotel. It is a free breakfast for anybody who wants to attend, a free program. They just need to go on our website, and the link will be there to take them to register. Our website is alternatives-to-violence.org. You can register for a spot, just show up. The breakfast registration begins at 7:30. And the program runs from 8 to 9. Part of having this breakfast is so that we can spread awareness in the community. I always like to say, like the TV says, the NBC ad, the more you know. And the more you know about violence and domestic violence, the more you can help yourself or loved ones. So when people understand what red flags are in domestic violence situations, what is a healthy relationship? What's not a healthy relationship? Where can you get help? We really want to share that. So this year, we're lucky to have 3 speakers who are going to tell their story with domestic violence and sexual assault. These speakers come from different backgrounds, had different situations, and we really want to show the community that just somebody who is experiencing domestic violence, it doesn't fit in a box. It's not the same people, it's not the same situations. So we're lucky to actually have the mayor of Loveland, Jackie Marsh, who has been a domestic violence advocate, volunteer advocate previously in her life, but who grew up in a household that was experiencing domestic violence. So we'll hear Mayor Marsh's take. We have the current Mrs. Petite Colorado, who also has experienced a different kind of domestic violence with a partner that she had. And then lastly, Queen. And Queen is a wonderful advocate in the community who also experienced domestic violence along with substance abuse and homelessness. And she's going to share her experience with us. So the more these people can share the experience they have, the more people can learn the difference and recognize abuse either amongst themselves or their friends and family so that they are then aware how to get help for those that they love.
For sure. Well, it sounds like a great event. Now, if one of our listeners is struggling or knows someone who is struggling, how can they get in contact with ATV?
Absolutely. We actually have more information on the website, again, alternativestoviolence.org. If they want to call somebody and are in a crisis situation or even not a crisis situation, just to ask more questions, they can call us at 970-669-5150. They would press 1 for crisis line or just 0 to get more information. And we have advocates on staff 24/7 to be able to help and assist folks.
Perfect. Thank you. So just to go into a little bit more detail, how exactly does ATV assist those who are struggling with these issues?
We start off, if they call in our crisis line, we'll do what's called the screening. So we go through the screening to see what are the issues you have and how can we help you. If they need emergency sheltering, we'll see if we have an opening. If we don't, we safety plan. And what can they do in the meantime till they can get somewhere safe? If they don't need immediate sheltering or emergency sheltering, meaning they have other forms of support in the community, we do have non-residential advocates who can help guide through the legal system if needed, or to help folks find permanent housing, things that are an emergency shelter. So it doesn't matter your level of abuse. We're here to help you through it.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Carrie, is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know?
Just let us know if you have any questions, and please come to our Purple Ribbon Breakfast to find out more information. Free meal and an interesting conversation that they'll hear, and to learn a lot about domestic violence in our community.
Great. Well, Carrie, thanks so much for speaking with us today. For those who are interested in the Purple Ribbon Breakfast, you can find more information at alternativestoviolence.org.